one man has become a figure of intense debate and fascination. His name is Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Kanu is a man whose mission transcends personal ambition. For many, he is a freedom fighter challenging an unjust system. For others, a rebel destabilizing Nigeria's fragile unity. But who is Nnamdi Kanu? What shaped his vision of resurrecting the defunct Republic of Biafra? To understand Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB, we must revisit the roots of the Biafran dream, a dream that began over half a century ago. This story begins in a small village in southeastern Nigeria, a region with a rich cultural heritage but one that bears the scars of a devastating civil war. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel, as these will motivate and enable us to bring you more interesting stories. Nnamdi Kanu was born on September 25, 1967, in Isiama Afara Ukwu, Umuahia, during the Nigerian Civil War, 1967 to 1970. This war, commonly referred to as the Biafran War, erupted shortly after the southeastern region declared independence as the Republic of Biafra. Kanu's family lived through a period of immense hardship, characterized by famine, military conflict, and mass displacement. His parents, King Israel Okwu Kanu and Queen Ugos Sally Meme Kanu, were traditional leaders and respected voices within their community. They imbued their son with values of justice, responsibility, and cultural pride. King Israel's role as a king also exposed young Kanu to governance at a grassroots level, where he witnessed the challenges of leadership firsthand. Growing up in the shadow of the Biafran War, Kanu was acutely aware of the Igbo people's struggles. Stories of survival, of families forced to eat cassava peels, of entire villages razed to the ground, left an indelible impression on him. By his teenage years, Kanu had developed a deep interest in history and governance, frequently seeking out books that detailed Africa's colonial past, post-colonial struggles, and global movements for independence. One defining moment in his childhood was the loss of relatives during the war, particularly due to the blockade-induced famine that claimed over 1 million lives. This tragedy cemented his belief that the Igbo people needed self-determination to safeguard their future. The roots of Kanu's cause can be traced back to the Nigerian Civil War, a conflict that arose from deep-seated ethnic tensions, political instability, and economic disparities. After Nigeria gained independence from Britain in 1960, the nation struggled to unite its diverse ethnic groups, the Hausa Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the southwest, and the Igbo in the southeast. The tipping point came in 1966 when a coup led predominantly by Igbo military officers resulted in the assassination of northern political leaders. This led to widespread anti-Igbo pogroms in northern Nigeria, during which thousands of Igbos were massacred. In response, Lieutenant Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu declared the southeastern region an independent Republic of Biafra in 1967. The ensuing war lasted 3 years and ended with Nigeria's military victory. However, the scars of the conflict ran deep. Despite the federal government's proclamation of "no victor, no vanquished," many Igbos felt excluded from national politics and development. These unresolved grievances created fertile ground for movements like IPOB decades later. Kanu's academic journey took him beyond Nigeria's borders, opening his mind to global political struggles. After completing his early education in southeastern Nigeria, he moved to the United Kingdom to attend London Metropolitan University, where he studied politics and economics. Living in the UK proved transformative. Kanu was exposed to global movements for self-determination, such as Scotland's independence referendum and Catalonia's push for autonomy. These struggles inspired him, reinforcing his belief that the Igbo people deserved the right to self-determination under international law. During his time abroad, Kanu immersed himself in debates about governance, colonial exploitation, and economic mismanagement in Africa. He became an active voice in Igbo diaspora communities, articulating the need for a new path forward for southeastern Nigeria. Kanu's critique of Nigeria's federal structure was sharp. He argued that the country's wealth, derived primarily from oil-rich southeastern states, was being used to develop other regions while the southeast remained underdeveloped. His speeches often highlighted systemic corruption, unequal representation, and the neglect of the southeast's infrastructure and education systems. In 2012, Kanu founded the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, aiming to create a peaceful, organized movement advocating for Biafra's independence. Unlike earlier movements, IPOB emphasized structure, strategy, and global outreach. Kanu established IPOB as a hierarchical organization with multiple functional arms: Directorate of State, DOS. This is IPOB's executive arm, tasked with strategic planning and global coordination. Members of the DOS oversee regional operations, advise Kanu on policy, and manage the organization's international chapters, media and communication. IPOB's media team, led by Radio Biafra, ensures the movement's message reaches a global audience. Social media platforms amplify IPOB's voice, countering Nigerian government narratives. Legal and advocacy team. This team manages court cases, human rights advocacy, and lobbying efforts. It played a pivotal role in drawing international attention to Kanu's controversial arrests. Grassroots mobilization. At the community level, IPOB relies on regional coordinators to organize protests and outreach programs, ensuring the movement remains active across southeastern Nigeria. Radio Biafra, launched in London, became IPOB's megaphone. The station aired messages of self-determination, cultural pride, and resistance to perceived injustices. Kanu's fiery rhetoric resonated deeply with Igbos at home and abroad. Through Radio Biafra, Kanu recounted historical events, including the Biafran War, to educate younger generations about their identity. His speeches often criticized the Nigerian government for its handling of security, resource allocation, and governance. The station also served as a bridge connecting Igbos and other ethnic groups which made up the defunct Biafran Republic worldwide. Listeners tuned in from Europe, North America, Africa and Asia, united by a shared dream of Biafra. IPOB's ideology is rooted in principles of justice, equality, and cultural preservation. For Kanu, Biafra represents not just a territory but a vision of hope and prosperity. Key pillars of his vision include economic prosperity. Kanu believes Biafra's natural resources, particularly oil and gas, could drive economic independence. Cultural revival. IPOB emphasizes the importance of Igbo traditions, language, and values. Democratic governance. Kanu envisions a meritocratic system that prioritizes accountability and transparency. Nnamdi Kanu's activism made him a target of Nigeria's federal authorities. In October 2015, he was arrested on charges of treasonable felony upon entering Nigeria from the United Kingdom. The arrest, which was carried out by Nigeria's Department of State Services, DSS, sparked an unprecedented wave of protests across southeastern Nigeria and among Igbo diaspora communities worldwide. Supporters demanded his unconditional release, describing the charges as politically motivated. During his initial detention, Kanu refused legal representation provided by the Nigerian government, insisting instead on being tried publicly. His steadfastness turned him into a symbol of resistance, further galvanizing IPOB's base. After nearly 2 years in detention and amid growing domestic and international pressure, Kanu was granted bail in April 2017 on medical grounds. His release was celebrated by his supporters, with crowds flooding the streets in southeastern cities. Kanu's legal battles escalated in September 2017 when Nigerian military forces raided his family home in Abia State during Operation Python Dance 2, a military operation targeting separatist groups in the southeast. Kanu narrowly escaped, but the raid resulted in the deaths of several IPOB members. Following the attack, Kanu went into exile, re-emerging a year later in Israel before relocating to the United Kingdom. The most dramatic chapter in Kanu's legal struggles occurred in June 2021 when he was arrested in Kenya under controversial circumstances. His extradition to Nigeria, described by his legal team as an illegal rendition, drew widespread condemnation from human rights organizations and global observers. Kanu has since faced ongoing trials in Abuja, where he stands accused of terrorism and treason. His legal team continues to challenge the charges, arguing that they violate his fundamental rights to freedom of expression and self-determination. IPOB's strength lies not only in its grassroots mobilization within Nigeria, but also in its extensive diaspora network. Chapters of IPOB operate in major cities across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa. These groups organize peaceful protests, engage in diplomatic lobbying, and raise funds to sustain IPOB's activities. For example, in London, IPOB supporters have frequently gathered outside the Nigerian High Commission to demand Kanu's release and raise awareness about the Biafran struggle. In Washington, D.C., IPOB delegations have lobbied U.S. lawmakers to pressure the Nigerian government on human rights violations against Biafrans. Social media has been a game-changer for IPOB. Platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram amplify the group's message, allowing IPOB to reach millions of people globally. Hashtags such as #Free Nnamdi Kanu and #Biafra Referendum often trend, reflecting IPOB's ability to galvanize digital support. Through these platforms, IPOB counters Nigerian government narratives, shares news updates, and organizes virtual town halls, keeping the diaspora connected and engaged. In 2017, the Nigerian government designated IPOB a terrorist organization, citing its methods and rhetoric. This move was widely criticized by international observers, including Amnesty International, which argued that IPOB's activities did not meet the criteria for terrorism under international law. Many viewed the designation as a political strategy to delegitimize IPOB's cause. Despite its strong organizational structure, IPOB has faced internal challenges. Critics question the sustainability of the group's methods. Kanu's fiery rhetoric, particularly his criticisms of Nigeria's leaders, has been polarizing. While some view him as a hero, others accuse him of exacerbating ethnic tensions. IPOB's sit-at-home order, initially introduced as a form of protest against Kanu's arrest, have become one of the movement's most visible tools. Every Monday, businesses, schools, and public transport services in southeastern Nigeria shut down as residents comply with IPOB's directives. While the sit-at-home order demonstrate IPOB's influence, they have significant economic consequences. Markets in major southeastern cities like Onitsha and Aba lose millions of naira in revenue each week. Bekasi of these, Kanu directed the IPOB leadership, DOS, to suspend the sit-at-home order, which they did. However, the group called Autopilot, who are actually non-IPOB members, insisted on the sit-at-home orders and continued to push for it. These have drawn criticism from business owners and educators, who argue that these measures harm the southeastern economy and disrupt daily life. Critics argue that these disruptions disproportionately affect small business owners and daily wage earners. IPOB has consistently made it clear that sit-at-home order has been suspended and people are at personal liberty to sit at home, if they wish, but it is not mandatory. On a positive note, IPOB has awoken the political consciousness of various tribes in Nigeria and has reignited a sense of cultural pride among the Igbo people. Through its advocacy, IPOB has encouraged the use of the Igbo language, the celebration of traditional festivals, and the promotion of Igbo art and literature. The future of IPOB depends on whether the Nigerian government is willing to engage in meaningful dialogue. While IPOB's ultimate goal remains an independent Biafra, they called for a referendum under international supervision, similar to those held in Scotland and Catalonia. For southeastern Nigeria, the broader challenge is addressing systemic issues such as unequal allocation of federal resources, poor infrastructure and lack of investment in the southeast. If these grievances are addressed, it may reduce the urgency of the Biafran agitation, IPOB's international presence ensures that the Biafran issue remains in the global spotlight. The group's ability to mobilize support from foreign governments and organizations will be crucial in shaping its future. Regardless of the movement's outcome, Nnamdi Kanu's legacy is already etched in history. His life's work has reignited conversations about justice, self-determination, and national unity in Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu's story is a testament to the complexities of identity, self-determination, and national unity. He has galvanized a movement that refuses to be silenced, yet his methods and rhetoric remain divisive. As Nigeria grapples with its future, Kanu's legacy as a symbol of resistance and his impact on the Biafran cause will continue to shape the country's political discourse. This expanded narrative highlights the intricacies of Kanu's journey, IPOB's struggles, and the broader implications for Nigeria and its people. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment. We appreciate your feedback.